Rapunzel. Once upon a time, in a peaceful valley filled with flowers and singing birds, there lived a kind couple who longed for a child. They had built a little house near the forest edge, where sunlight streamed through the trees. But their hearts still felt empty without a baby to love. One spring, their prayers were answered. The woman discovered she was expecting, and joy filled their home. But soon, she developed an unusual craving for a certain green herb that grew only in the garden of a mysterious witch who lived deep in the forest. Her husband was worried. The witch was known for her strange powers and for rarely leaving her home. People whispered that she could see into hearts and knew secrets no one should know. Despite his fear, the husband cared too much for his wife to refuse her wish. One moonlit night, he crept into the witch's garden and picked the herbs she had forbidden. As he turned to leave, the witch appeared, her eyes sharp and her voice like wind through dry leaves. "Who dares take what belongs to me?" she demanded. Trembling, the man explained, "Please forgive me, witch. My wife is with child, and she needs these herbs. I only wish to help her." The witch considered his words. "Very well," she said. "Take the herbs, but when your child is born, she shall belong to me if her hair shines like gold." The man had no choice but to agree. When the child was born, she was perfect, with hair that gleamed like the morning sun. They named her Rapunzel. True to her word, the witch arrived and took Rapunzel, carrying her far into the forest to a hidden tower she had built. The tower had no door and no stairs, only a small window at the very top. Rapunzel grew up in that lonely tower. She learned to speak, sing, and draw on the stone floor. Her hair grew longer and more beautiful each year, cascading down the walls like a golden waterfall. Every time the witch wanted to visit, she would call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would lower her braid, and the witch would climb. The witch often warned Rapunzel that the outside world was dangerous, keeping her confined with fear. As time passed, a young prince wandered through the forest, hunting deer. One day, he heard a voice singing above the rustle of leaves. It was so pure and beautiful that he followed it until he reached the tower. He saw Rapunzel at the window, her golden hair gleaming in the sunlight. The prince watched, fascinated, as the witch climbed up her long braid. Once the witch left, he returned and imitated her voice, calling, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." To his delight, the braid fell. Climbing carefully, he reached the window. Rapunzel gasped at the sight of him, never having seen another person her age. "Who are you?" she whispered, heart pounding. "I am a traveler," the prince said softly. "I only wish to meet the one whose voice carries through the forest." Rapunzel listened as he spoke of rivers that sparkled like diamonds, fields stretching as far as the eye could see, and skies painted with the colors of dawn. For the first time, Rapunzel dreamed of freedom beyond her tower. Days passed, and the prince returned often. He brought silk threads, and together they wove a rope long enough to climb down. They planned their escape in secret, hearts filled with hope. But one day, Rapunzel accidentally spoke of him, while the witch brushed her golden hair. Enraged, the witch cut off Rapunzel's braid and cast her into a distant desert, where she would know hardship and loneliness. Then, the witch tricked the prince by lowering the severed braid from the window. When he climbed, he found the witch instead of Rapunzel. He was struck blind by her magic. Rapunzel, though cast far away, survived. She built a small home from stones and sand, finding food where she could, and gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. She sang to them every day, her voice floating across the desert winds. Meanwhile, the blind prince wandered the lands, guided only by memories of Rapunzel's song. One day, her melody carried to him across the dunes. Step by step, he followed the sound until he found her. Rapunzel ran to him, tears streaming. Her embrace and the warmth of her love broke the witch's spell, and the prince's sight returned. Together, they held their children close. Overjoyed to be reunited, they traveled back to the prince's kingdom. Rapunzel finally met her parents again, who wept with happiness at the sight of their daughter. The kingdom celebrated their arrival, and the family was embraced by everyone with joy. Rapunzel and the prince married in a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends, family, and the laughter of their children. The witch, meanwhile, vanished into the shadows, powerless to harm them again. From that day forward, Rapunzel lived free. Her hair, though cut, still shone like gold in the sunlight. Her songs filled the valleys and meadows, a reminder that love, courage, and hope can overcome any darkness.